You know, a lot of people think karate comes from Japan. You ask them where karate is from and they say it's from Japan, but really before it spread to mainland Japan, it was in Okinawa, which is a really small island. And the way karate got to Okinawa before that was in China. Okinawa was really close to China, and so there would be trade ships that would go back and forth between Okinawa and China. And some of these people would go across and they'd learn Kung Fu from China and bring it back. And it slowly evolved a little bit over time, and it became its own martial art in Okinawa. And the person who is usually given credit for bringing our type of karate, Goju-Ryu, back to Okinawa is a man named Kano Higona. And he went to China, like I said, and he was on a trade ship and he learned martial arts there and brought it back, and then he taught a man named Chojin Miyagi. And Chojin Miyagi is the person who's considered the founder of Goju-Ryu karate. And what that means is he came up with the name Goju-Ryu, which means hard and soft. And so what he means by hard and soft is not strong and weak, but he talks about techniques that use your strength against somebody else, which would be hard techniques like a punch or a kick, and then soft techniques, which you don't have to be super strong and muscular to do. You use the other person's energy against them, and so you can protect yourself whether there's somebody who's bigger and faster than you or somebody who's your size. It doesn't have to be that you're the bigger person. And he's one of the first people who started teaching it outside of his private home. It used to be, you had to be accepted by an instructor and you trained in secrecy, and you didn't just teach karate to anybody. You had to qualify for it and prove that you had good character and that you weren't going to use your karate to go hurt people. Chojin Miyagi felt like it was also very good athletically and socially, and so he wanted to teach it at local high schools because he knew that it would be a good thing to help high school kids stay in shape, teach discipline, they could learn respect and things like that. And from there it kind of spread, and it became acceptable to have a bigger school where you didn't have to qualify and you didn't have 3 or 4 students, you had 20 students, you had 40 students. One of Chojin Miyagi's top students, his name is Anichi Miyagi. No relation though, but they just have the same last name. It's a pretty common last name in Okinawa. And he started training and continued on after Chojin Miyagi passed away. He maintained the dojo and kept teaching. And then he had a student named Morio Higona. And Morio Higona is the only one who's still alive today. He still lives in Okinawa. He's in his mid-70s and he still teaches and he trains 6-8 hours a day, 7 days a week. And he's in incredible health. And so it just goes to show that martial arts can be really good for you. A lot of times people think, it's for somebody in his late teens, 20s, maybe 30s, and then, all of a sudden you're an old guy when by the time you hit 40 and you can't do karate anymore because it's all about, jumping around and doing these high kicks. But really, karate is a lifelong pursuit, and it changes as you change, as your body type changes, as you get older. You learn differently, but you're still able to train for your whole life. We say to all the students that the most important thing at karate is respect. It's more important than the punching and the kicking and tearing out throats and all that stuff, because if you take respect away, then all you have is fighting, and that just means you go out on the street and whatever, you fight for no reason, and that's not what karate is about. And so we want every student to know that the most important thing is respect, and that fighting is your last option. You try to avoid a situation, but if you find out that you are in a situation where you need to defend yourself, you should have complete confidence that you can protect yourself. So that's the main thing, is respect, but also the confidence and the knowledge that should there ever come a time when you need to defend yourself, you'll be able to do that. Then what every student learns first is basics and stances, all the basic punches and blocks and kicks and strikes and things like that. And then you have what's called kata, and a kata is a form, it's a series of moves put together. And they'll say you're fighting like an invisible opponent. So in your head you're imagining turning to the side and somebody striking and blocking and then countering and hurting them back. And then as you progress, you learn more difficult katas, and they have more in-depth meaning behind them. And so you watch a kata and you can't understand the technique until somebody teaches you what that technique is, and then you can translate it into real life. And so you wouldn't do a whole kata to fight somebody, but you would use a piece of that kata called an application, or how you would apply that kata in real life. And then you would use that to defend yourself if somebody, whether they do a straight punch or they swing their arm at you or they do a kick or a knee or anything. It doesn't have to be against a karate technique. It can be against somebody who is just flailing away at you, trying to overpower you. Then philosophically, there's also meditation that's done at the beginning, at the end of class, just for a short time, but it helps you center yourself, clear your mind of what else is going on in the day. You go to do something, whether you're going to the gym or you're doing karate or you're watching a movie or you're talking with a friend, and we let ourselves get distracted by what's going on. We had a bad day at work or a bad day at school, or we had a fight with our wife or husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or our best friend, and all this stuff is getting in our head and it's stopping us from focusing on whatever it is we're trying to accomplish, and it slows us down. And so with karate, we try to learn to push all that stuff out of the way for a half hour, an hour, or 2 hours while we train, and then once we're done training, then we can worry about the rest of the world. But it helps us to focus, and it can do the same thing for school. When you have a big test and you're sweating the test, and you had things going on in the day, you got other things you got to do, you push that stuff aside and you focus on your test, or you focus on your job, or whatever it is you have going on. And so karate is not just self-defense. There's also philosophy involved that you can use to help you throughout your life. Even if you never get in a fight, you can still take advantage of karate and use what you're taught to help yourself with daily life.